So welcome back, everybody. This is John with SwingFit. In today's video, we have a great one lined up for you because not only are we going to help you understand what we did to help our customers pick up an extra 34 yards of total distance, but we're also going to help you understand what we did along the way in order to achieve that recommendation. Because this is something that we see that impacts a lot of our customers time and time again, and that is if you have recently bought a brand new driver or maybe a slightly used but new to you driver, but just disappointed with the outcome and the performance, then I promise you, you're not alone. And in today's video, we're going to help you understand what is the missing piece in order to protect that investment. So without further ado, let's jump in. So before we dive deep into results, I do want to take a quick second to welcome any new viewers to the channel, because the true missing piece in order to help you transform your golf game is the club fitting process. I mean, it's no secret. This is the primary reason why we established this channel, because if you really want to learn what is the value and the benefits of the club fitting process and gain a better understanding of what do all these numbers mean and why a club fitter might choose certain items out of the fitting matrix in order to help their customers take their game to another level, then I promise you, you're in the right place, and all you got to do, hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell so that way you receive an alert anytime we drop our new content. So now let's roll up our sleeves and talk about tonight's player profiles. So regardless of speed, spin, I just lost my train of thought listening to that Andrew. Can we start again? So now let's roll up our sleeves to help you understand what is tonight's player profile. And regardless of speed, skill, or talent, the true silver lining here is the method, the approach, and how we get to the end result, because that is what really will transcend golfers of all skill levels. So whether your speed matches tonight's golfer's speed at 108 mile an hour, or whether your handicap is anywhere close to his average of 9, it doesn't really matter, because his pain point is he's leaving yards out on the golf course, and his worst part of his game is his driver, and that very well may sound like you. And how we get to the end can potentially help you understand how to get the most out of the fitting process. So let's take a look at the customer's current gamer, because this is what he's rocking right here. And this driver is only a year old. It's the Taylormade Sim Max from last year, and it's the 10.5 degree version. And the reason he went 10.5 is because he turned loft down to open that face up to kind of help work with that desired shot shape of a little left or right. So let's take a look at the numbers. Now, one of the first things I like to look at is what is that ball speed versus club speed separation, also known as smash factor or efficiency rating, and that just depends on which system you're actually using. And for us, we're using the GC quads, and when we take a look at the club data, sure enough, customers only averaging 1.39. His best was 1.40, and even at that best, we know that isn't optimum. And there's definitely something going on here, because with our GC quads, we want to get that number as close to 1.45 as we possibly can. And although that may sound a little low, it's because we're using a camera-based launch monitor. And if you happen to be using a radar-based launch monitor like a TrackMan or a Flight Scope, that number is going to be more like 1.50, 1.51, and definitely, that's the number you're going to be chasing. But, definitely something's going on with the gear, especially with this customer's neutral delivery. So let's switch over to the ball tab. And when we take a look at that ball speed number, averaging out about 151, we know something's going on, because we're losing about 5 miles an hour of free energy output, and that's just robbing the customer of, those missing yards. And when you look at the launch window at 14 degrees, good comfortable range, 13 to 15. That's really good, comfortable launch angle window that I like to get our customers in, and he's right there smack in the middle, especially at the customer's AOA. He's hitting up on the ball 5 degrees, so that's really, really good, but only if we can get high launch, low spin. We know that is the secret recipe in order to hit those bombs like Phil. You got to get high launch, low spin, and at the customer's average spin rate now of 3,100, that's never going to happen. I mean, these are the 4 best shots out of a series of 15, and I kept his one good bomber in there just to show everybody what the art of the possible is because when you look at the average carry in total, 253, 275, that is exactly what the customer says. He says, he barely ever reaches 300, only in good conditions and with a backwind. But we'll look at that last shot, okay? Because this is what I really want to bring to everybody's attention to drive home the significance of loft. Is because you might ask, well, what was different about the last shot versus the other ones, and why was it so low spin? So the only way to understand that is we got to flip back into the delivery characteristics, right? Go to the data field, look at that last line there, right? So AOA still up, club path still out to in. There it is, face the path. He was actually able to get that face close to his path, and we know that anytime we're able to do that, we're actually going to take loft off, and that is exactly what happened. And that is just, another example of if we're able to control loft dynamically through our delivery or go lower loft, we can actually, produce some really, really good results. And that 276, 304 number is what we're going to try to create more often and definitely more consistent for the customers. So now let's cut straight to the chase and show you what we ended up with, because we tried 6 or 7 combinations, and this is going to be a great before and after snapshot, because literally, nothing appeared to work until we put the customer in the brand new Sim 2 driver. Sim 2 Max, even at a lower loft, just did not produce the right curvature, the right controlled ball flight that the customer wanted. So we put him in the Sim 2 driver and paired it up with the LA Golf Toronto 65X shaft. This thing has been a beast, and honestly, guys, if you haven't tried an LA Golf shaft yet, you don't have to swing the club like Bryson in order to get the most out of it. Customer swinging 108, and he's actually making this thing work really, really good. So let's take a look at the numbers. And when we take a look at the compare tab, no disputing, this is exactly what we was hoping to achieve. 273 carry, 298 total. We said that's what we wanted to help the customer achieve more often. Touch that 300-yard mark, especially at the customer's input. Ball speed picked up. Closer to 155, really, really good. Launch kind of stayed the same, a little bit higher, but not much. I mean, it's still in that 14-degree window, and backspin did come down 2,400, and that is exactly what we was hoping to help the customer achieve. But let's take a look at the actual numbers to just see, how did the customer fare, shot by shot. And when we take a look at the customer's 5 best shots with this combination, no argument, this thing hands down beat last year's gamer. And when you look at the ball speed output, I mean, he touched 155 3 different times of the 5 best shots. And that launch window still in the 14-degree range. I mean, really, really good. But if I was a nitpick, and this is a little golden nugget here, okay, kind of peel back the layers a little bit, is from line to line, I don't want to see a lot of fluctuation as a club fitter, right? And that's my job, is I want to try to minimize that, because I know that if I can do that, I can just help you be more consistent. But I also like to see this happen in the fitting session, because I want to see how forgiving the driver is because even when we're not perfect and hit that bad shot, we got to be able to look at the results and did it still hit it just like the others. And we're going to see that here in a second as we continue to work left to right here. Backspin, nothing come close to 3,000. I love it. 2352. Descent, really good. Peak apex, I would actually expect to see these numbers, and it actually corresponds with the launch that we just talked about. You're going to see a lot of fluctuation here, right? If that launch window changes, so should the apex. But as low as 95, as high as 129, 120 to 125 is a really good range for this speed. And then take a look at the carry and the total. Once again, even with that launch and apex, fluctuation, customer still piped it out to 273 average. His best was 279, and worst shot, 268. I mean, that's still better than his previous gamer, and now he's touching 300 more often, and definitely customer couldn't have been happier. And this would be a great combination, and if the customer left with this, I know he would just be tickled pink. But guess what, guys? We're not done. Because there's this favorite saying we always like to share with our customers, and that is trust but verify. And this is also a good hallmark of a great fitter, and that is even though we found an excellent bomber and the customer was completely happy, is we want to leave no stone unturned, and as long as our customers have enough good swings in the tank, you know, we want to exhaust all options to see, is there something even better? And, you know, if we don't find it, you know, we're sold. You know, we're going to leave with the customer with the Sim 2 and the Toronto shaft, and he's going to just be happier than ever. But you know what? Is there something else? We never know until we try. So let's take a look at what the results looks like when we put the customer in the brand new TSI 3 driver with the 9-degree head, paired it up with the Ventus Black 6X shaft. And yes, before you ask, we did pair it with the Toronto shaft, just didn't perform or at least beat the Sim 2. But as soon as we put the Ventus shaft in, you know, and it's not really meant to be a head-to-head comparison or a shaft-to-shaft comparison, but these things straight up were absolute beasts. So let's take a look at the TSI 3 with the Ventus shaft. And boy, are we glad we did test this, because look at the results here. We sneaked out an extra 2 miles an hour of ball speed. Launch window, 14.4. Backspin even came down a little bit more. And guys, I have seen this, that if you are struggling with spin, the TSI 3 head is a great option, especially when you choose the correct loft. I mean, and there's 4 loft options in the TSI line. I mean, you can go 8, 9, 10, or 11, and we already know loft is so important. So there is a loft for everybody. So if you are struggling with a little excess spin, TSI 3 really, really good. I also like it because it's got that movable weight to really fine tune the customer shot shape. And, you know, take a look at the results. 282, 309 total. So we squeaked out an extra 11 yards of total distance just by going one more combination. I mean, guys, definitely this is what we strive to help our customers achieve, right? Same level input, just different output by not being afraid to try different combinations. So, but let's take a look at the best shots just to see, you know what, how great this thing actually did perform. And you hear me say all the time, it's about checking boxes. And if there was one thing I wasn't happy with in the previous combination, it was that fluctuation of launch and apex, and I want to try to get that tighter. And when we look at these numbers, there's no disputing, we kind of killed that. And, you know, not only did we get better ball speeds than we've seen all day and a lot more consistent, you know, everything was north of 155. We even touched 157 twice. And I mean, that's almost close to 158 really. And I mean, that's just really, really good. So greater output, same level input, just different head. And launch, look, highest launch 15.8, lowest launch 13.8, and that's definitely makes me a lot happier. So that's a checkbox we wasn't able to check in the Sim 2 that we are here. Backspin even came down a little bit more, which just really kind of helps the customer just squeak out some extra yards, and that is a good explanation of why the ball was actually able to create a little bit more energy, just a little lower spin, but we're still able to maintain that high launch window. And then look at that apex. Highest apex, 124. And that is definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you are swinging it a little bit faster. We don't want that ball to creep up in 130 because if it's windy, that thing is going to catch a speed ramp and you're not going to be able to control it. But look at those numbers there. Every single one of them north of 280. I mean, that's just great. And now the customer's actually getting the ball to creep out. 312 was his best, but you know, every single one of those north of 300. And guys, this is what we do day in and day out. So final, before and after, we help the customer pick up 34, 35 extra total yards by taking them through the fit process. So in closing, we truly hope you found value in this information we share with you today. And once again, this really wasn't meant to be a head-to-head or a shaft-to-shaft comparison, but you can actually use it for that if you want. But definitely both of these options would have been great fits. The TSI 3 just edged out the Sim 2 and a Toronto shaft. And once again, it's not to say that that is an inferior build. It's just this one did a little better for our customers. And if you seek out the assistance of a good fitter, you just might be pleased with the results that you find. So if you have any questions or comments, do me a favor. Leave them in the comments and the remarks below. And don't forget to smash that thumbs up if you did find value. And don't forget to take a look at one of these videos over here, because it just might be a couple golden nuggets that can help you get pointed back in the right direction. So until next week, thanks for watching.